Growing up. There she is, sitting on the floor in a dark room, glaring at a little girl in the mirror. She saw a little girl with tears falling off her face, with swollen eyes, and the wound on her shoulder still bleeding. But she didn't really care about anything that much. She just had one question in her head. Why does Daddy always hit me? She looked away from the mirror, staring outside the window. After the little girl's mother passed away, her father had changed into something she never knew before. Every time her father lost his temper, she was always the victim. How could a 9-year-old girl handle so much when she's so young? If only I was a cloud, I wouldn't have to go through all this. Could, she thought, looking outside that small window, if only I could. This had already become her only way to escape from reality. The cloud in the sky, the birds on the tree, or even a butterfly with a few days of life became her imaginary self. Just when she was enjoying her time in her own world, she heard footsteps. It was like her heart stopped beating. Fear came dropping out of her eyes. The footsteps becoming louder and louder, louder and louder. Finally they stopped. Then came the sound of the doorknob twisting. 8 years passed. She gently opened up the window, seeing her father's back slowly disappearing. The innocence of her childhood had become the past. The beautiful young girl is now out looking for her life. Her father's orders have already made her sick. Now you cannot see fear in her eyes, replacing it as a firm hope. She looks down to all the scars on her arm and then says, "This is it." She quickly packs her few clothes into a little bag and stares at her room for a few sounds, then slowly turns around and walked away. "I'm free." She took a deep breath, turned around and stared at the house she had lived in for 17 years. 17 years, she said, having a feeling that she didn't want to leave. After all, she had lived here for 17 years. Her tears almost came out of her eyes. "No," she shook her head. "I need to go out of here." She turned and walked away. The house slowly disappeared into the background. 30 years passed. "I go anywhere. I want this. It's none of your business," said her son with a boom after that. She stood in front of the door, and a sigh came from her mouth. She walked back to the living room, thinking how children now are so hard to teach. She wasn't like this when she was young. When she was young. Memories started coming back of life before 9 years old, of life after, and of when she left when she was 17. Actually, when she had been adopted by a kind couple. She had said to forget everything before, but memories just kept flashing into her mind. Her husband had died from cancer last year, so she had to raise her son by herself. She always felt lonely. Suddenly, she remembered when she had been adopted by the kind couple. She told them she had run out of the orphanage. What would happen if her father knew? Memories about her father became blurred as time passed. All she remembered was her father turning into someone else, always taking the anger out of her. But why? Why does she miss her father in some sort of a way? Miss the old house she lived for 17 years. Now she realized what her father was going through. Losing his love, pressure from work, her hatred for her father was extinguished in just a second, replaced by guilt. Why didn't she look after her father, instead leaving him by himself? Was he still in this world? When she thought this, her tears dropped to the floor. Cried enough, she fell asleep on the sofa. In her hands were her husband's and son's photographs.